Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Electrified Outdoors. Today, you're joining me on a road trip from Maryland to Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to take the 2026 R1S Tri-Motor and we're going to drive that down there, and I'm going to do two things. We're going to do it exclusively via the Rivian Adventure Network. So we're going to see what it's like to travel only on Rivian charging. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to test out the Rivian Autonomy Platform. And I'm going to try to drive as much as possible with the Rivian Autonomy Platform engaged. And I'm going to see how many times it disengages and what issues I have with it over the course of this trip. But first, if you're new here, my name is Ken and I make videos about living and adventuring with electric vehicles. If that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and click on subscribe. And do me a favor, when you hit subscribe, hit that bell and you get notified anytime we add new content. If you hit that like button, it'll help others find us just a little bit easier on YouTube. Okay folks, so I'm just gonna do a quick walk around here of the wife's 2026 R1S Tri-Motor. As you can see, we have the Tesla NACS port. Now I did get a Electron CCS1 to Tesla adapter. We're gonna need that for some of the Rivian stations. They apparently don't have any NACS connectors yet in some locations. So we're going to be testing that out as well. And as you can see, my wife got pretty much her same spec, the 22-inch bright wheels. She did get the blackout package, except for on the wheels. This is the Tri-Motor, so it has all the goodies that come along with the Tri-Motor. We look inside the vehicle. We have the Ascend interior. She chose the black mountain with the brown ash wood. It's just a beautiful, beautiful setup inside this vehicle, folks. And I would tell you that right now, this is probably, I would say, the best value if you're going to get a performance-oriented R1S. All right, everyone, so we're taking off here. We're leaving with 86% state of charge. And our first stop is going to be in Fredericksburg, Virginia, at the Rivian Adventure Network. Now, I can use the Rivian Autonomy Platform on these back roads, but it can't stop for stop signs, and it doesn't recognize traffic signals either. So I really don't feel like I'm comfortable using it on these surface roads. So I'm going to confine my use to the highway. I think that's where most people for right now are going to use it anyway. And we're really going to see how it performs and how much I can use it on a long trip like this. Okay, everyone, so we're still driving through town. We're taking the back roads a little bit. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening. So we've got the evening rush. So Rivian is routing us through the back roads. Now, so far, I've lost 4% on these back roads. I'm hoping that doesn't continue. It's fairly mild outside. 52 degrees Fahrenheit is the ambient shown. So we're going to jump on 270 South. That's where I've done a lot of my Driver Plus testing to begin with. All right, everyone. So we're on I-270 and I'm ready to engage the Driver Plus. Traffic's been really heavy, so I wanted to get the feel for the vehicle first before I engage it. But basically, we're just going to pull towards us twice to engage the system. And Rivian has updated this system. Now, in the driver's display, when you hit the scroll wheel, you'll have 3 different settings where you would normally adjust the gap. Rivian has changed it, so now you have 3 different modes. So when I switched it, I just switched it into medium. Then we have spicy, which is going to get a little closer to the person in the front. But I think for what we're doing here, we can leave it on mild. If traffic gets a little bit heavier, you might want to switch it up to medium, just to have less distance between you and the car in front. But that's pretty much it. And then on the little, so the left and the right buttons on the right side will adjust that. And then the scroll wheel up and down will adjust your set speed. So we're just going to continue to ride along as much as possible with the Autonomy Platform Plus engaged. Now I'm going to also count how many times I have to disengage the system. And this will give you guys a good idea of how well the system is working. Because in my opinion, if it's working the way it should, at this point in time, we should be able to go all the way from highway on to highway off on the Rivian Autonomy Platform. And I should only have to disengage it when we go off on the exit. All right, so we've got it on, and I'm about to do a lane change here, but it's doing really well in handling it. I've got it in the medium setting, and this is the distance it's keeping between me and the car in front. But now I'm just going to go ahead and try to change lanes. Now, I've always preferred to manually initiate a lane change. Tesla's system has gotten really good to where it doesn't really bother me when the car automatically changes lanes by itself, but I wouldn't trust any other vehicle, including the Rivian at this point, to automatically change lanes for me. I would certainly test it, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that in any vehicle except for Tesla. But nonetheless, we can see it changes lanes very well. It's adjusting the speed and keeping a good distance from the cars in front. I do wish we had more adjustments on the follow distance, because it kind of feels like maybe we lost one or two in between settings when Rivian went to this mild, medium, spicy setup. But we can see it's doing well. I might adjust myself down one notch so that I'm not speeding. And it zooms out now when you do lane changes, and the visualization looks a lot better. So I can clearly see that Rivian has really been doing a lot of work on this autonomy platform. So it's kind of really exciting, especially with R2 around the corner, to see Rivian making strides with the Rivian Autonomy Platform. But anyway, we're just going to continue to drive along here. We're going to bear off to the right here in about 3 miles. Okay, so we're coming up here to a point where we're going to have to bear off. The highway kind of splits. You'll see the sign up here in a minute. And we're going to see how the Rivian Autonomy Platform handles this highway split. One way is going to be 495 south heading into Northern Virginia, and the other way is east. I'm going to get over just to give myself some comfortable space here. Also, traffic is pretty heavy. I mean, it's not really bad at this point, but it is 5:38 on a Thursday evening. So the traffic is going to be a little heavier. Actually going to get over here out of this guy's way. And I can see on the Rivian navigation that we're going to have some really heavy traffic coming up. And we're also going to see how it handles that. That's where I think the Rivian Autonomy Platform is really going to shine as well, is when you're sitting in traffic, because it's so exhausting to be on and off with your accelerator. To me, anyway, that's kind of exhausting. So I'm really looking forward to trying this out with some heavier traffic. And we'll see how it handles this turn. This is a pretty tight turn here. Now, I really would prefer it slowed down a little bit quicker than this. I think I'm going to switch it to mild, because I just wanted it to slow down a little bit sooner than what it did. So we're going to change the driving style to mild. Now you do have to supervise this system, folks, even though it's hands off. And what I would suggest in these situations also, like for example, I have my maximum speed set to 69. I'm probably going to set it to 64 for right now, because I don't want to be doing 69 and then have an abrupt slowdown. I don't know if I trust the system that much. So we're just going to see how it handles everything. This lane did end, so I like how it handled that. But here's where we're going to have a significant traffic slowdown. Yeah, the system does seem to perform a lot better than what it has in the past. We're going to see how it deals with this merging traffic. It's a little nerve-wracking. Anybody that lives around this area, this is really typical DC area traffic. This is not out of the ordinary, especially for 5:40 on a Thursday evening. But this is the exact situation where I feel like I would really want to have that Rivian Autonomy Platform. After you've been working all day and you get in the car, you're probably headed home. Hopefully you're headed home. And you just want to relax or try to wind down a little bit. And I think a system like this will help you do that. To get over, which that happens here in the DC area, just like this guy. They're a little aggressive. They'll get over. So it's enough space to allow them to get over without trying to cut somebody off, but still enough space to where you're going to be able to slow down if that happens. Now, it did get kind of close to that guy, but overall, I think it handled it well. All right, folks, so we're going to try to get over here. I'm going to put the flasher on, see how aggressive the Rivian Autonomy Platform is at getting over. Not likely to get anyone that wants to let us over. Now it's going to go over. Okay. And we're going to get over one more time. But I like how it lights up. This is a much more useful graphic when there's no way to get over, is to have that caution striping in there. That's much more useful than the way it was before. But that worked pretty well. Now, I don't know how aggressive it would have been if these folks didn't want to let me over. For example, if I was driving in New York City, that would be a really good test for the system, because they're very aggressive when I go through there. But we're going to continue to drive here. We're going to get off on the express lanes and see if that'll get us there a little bit quicker. Got a little construction going on here too, and I don't know that it's going to get off here for us. We'll see what it does. No, it's not getting off. Well, yeah, no, it's not getting off for us. So that's going to count as a disengagement. And I don't know, it seems like it's awful close on the right-hand side over here. But I guess maybe it's not. I'm going to go ahead and increase it. This is 65 here. I'm not going to go too fast on these express lanes here because of what's going on over here. But this should be a good test for the system. It can clearly see all the cars over here in the other lane, even though we have all these ballards here, which I'm impressed with. It's not showing us the ballards though in the visualization, which would be really helpful. Appears to be doing a good job of keeping the lane though. Looks like we're going to be on here for take control of the vehicle, toll booth ahead. And it says toll booth ahead. Take control. Okay. It's going a little faster than I'd like. Toll booth ahead. So anytime, even though we're not necessarily going through a toll booth, these overhead electronic tolling units, okay, take control. Okay, and then that's interesting. All right, so it's going to want me to get off here at Gallows Road, so I'm going to disable the Rivian Autonomy Platform because we're getting off an exit. Okay. It's got us getting back on here, slowing down almost to a stop. Get to a point here where I can re-engage the system. Obviously, we're going to do a lot more than 20. For right now, I'm going to set it at speed limit. And then if traffic clears up, I can increase it a little bit above that. We do have another lane that's merging in here, so we'll see how it handles that as well. When traffic is heavy like this, a lot of times folks will get pretty aggressive with merging in. So this guy is coming in, and it looks like it's going to do something. Yep, it's going to let him in, but it's actually getting over to block other cars from getting in, which is interesting. The system definitely works a lot better than what it has in the past when I've tested it. Rivian's really come quite a ways with this software. Alright, so we're also going to test it. I need to get over here. I don't want to be in this right-hand lane with merging traffic. So I'm going to see if this will get over here. This is an interesting situation here. Alright, so it's going to be... Alright. It did okay with that. I would have wanted it to be a little more assertive because of how heavy the traffic is, but it did okay. And we're going to see if it actually bears off on this exit here. We need to go off to the right for Richmond. And this guy, it's really coming up close on this guy. It did slow down, but it's not going off to the right, so I've got to disengage it. So the system is not smart enough to go where it needs to go, but it is performing well in all the other ways so far. The way I would describe it right now is it's very similar to the enhanced autopilot that Tesla had before FSD was a thing. It was highway autopilot that allowed the automatic lane changes. That's how I see this system functioning. So I just tried to engage it a minute ago, and I got the message that it was unavailable. I am seeing the icon down here underneath of my speedometer, and so I'm going to go ahead and try to re-engage it. And there's a lot of police around, so I'm just going to hang out here in the right lane and I'm gonna keep it around 60. And we're increasing up to 65. So we'll bump this up a bit. And I am gonna try to get over a lane. See how the system does with that. It does not want to get over a lane. I'm not sure why. And it's going 73. I really don't want to go that fast. But it's not even allowing me to get over. There's just a red line there. Yeah, this lane change on command is not working here for some reason. So I do need to get over. So I'm gonna put my signal on and I'm just gonna go over here this way. And see if it re-engages. It's not automatically re-engaging. So we'll re-engage it manually. Interesting that it won't allow lane changes in this situation. Not sure why. The lane lines are clearly broken and passing is clearly allowed. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Okay folks, so just had a forced disengagement. Not sure why. It just told me to take control of the steering wheel. Did that for about 5 seconds and disengaged. So we're going to try to re-engage the system here, and it says it is not available. Now we're in the express lanes of I-95 South, heading towards Richmond, and it says it's not available. I would think it should be available on this stretch of road, but maybe it's because we're in the express lanes. Hey everyone, so we have about 30 minutes left until we get to our first charging stop. We're estimated to have about 53% battery when we get there, but we're gonna stop there and use the restroom, possibly get something to eat, and then head on to the next Rivian charger. So far, we're doing pretty well. I'm averaging about 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. And we'll check the trip meter when I get there. I did reset it for this trip. So I think I'm probably correct that we're not going to get this back while we're on the express lanes. But what I am going to try to do is use the cruise control, the adaptive cruise control. And with the adaptive cruise, even if the autonomy is not available, the adaptive cruise, it will keep the distance and everything. I just have to steer the vehicle. And I still have the 3 settings, the mild, medium, and spicy, which controls how much space I have between me and the vehicle in front. So we're gonna stay in the adaptive cruise until we get our Rivian autonomy functions back. All right, so I'm not sure what I did, folks, but apparently I made a wrong turn or I missed a turn, and we've got to make a U-turn here. But my efficiency's been dropping quite a bit, down to 1.65 average for the last 15 minutes. And I also have not gotten back the Rivian Autonomy Platform at all. So, not sure what happened, if I got locked out for some reason, but I'm not getting that back either. Something I didn't notice in my wife's last R1S is the amount of noise the air compressor makes. It's really loud and it runs a lot. So I'm gonna have to check that out, see if there's something going on with the vehicle or if that's normal on Gen 2 now. But don't remember the last one doing that. All right, everyone, so we're getting ready to pull up to the Rivian chargers. Looks like we have one person icing a charger. Or, oh, wait a minute. It's a Honda Prologue, and they're charging at the Rivian charger. Or maybe they think they're charging. We're going to pull right up to spot number 1 here. Well, it says use this charger last, so I am going to move out of here because this is van accessible parking. We'll move over to 1B. Try to get ourselves centered in this lane. And we'll get out and get ourselves some Rivian electrons. All right, everyone, so here we have a CCS1 to Tesla adapter, because check this out. The 2026 and newer Gen 2 Rivian R1S's have a NACS port. And this Rivian charger here, if I can get it off of here, has a CCS port. So the only way to get this to work is to use this adapter. And this will be the first time I'm trying this out. And we'll see if we can get a charge. Hopefully we can. Well, I thought it was going. And it is. See how fast we get here. We are already at 50% state of charge. So we'll see how far it ramps up. Pretty good. It'll probably ramp back down, but we're gonna get a charge here and then we're gonna get back on the road. Okay, everyone, so we were there a lot longer than what we wanted to be. I was trying to take advantage of my Rivian Adventure Network free charging, and for some reason it wasn't working properly, so I had to call Rivian and get that sorted out. Then by the time we did that and went in and got something to eat, the truck was charged up to 99%. But it's 8:25. We didn't want to be here that long, but we were. So next stop is going to be Henderson. But before I leave you, we're going to take a look at our trip B. And you can see that we've averaged 2.14 miles per kilowatt hour. We've used 43.2 kilowatt hours of energy. And we've traveled 91.7 miles with an average speed of 48 miles per hour. So not too bad. But we're going to hope to make a lot more progress here on the way to Henderson. And I'll pick up with you guys in a little bit when we get on the highway. Okay, everyone, so we're on the highway. We've got about 67 miles before we get off of I-95 here. And I've got the autonomy platform re-engaged. Did a hard reboot as part of troubleshooting the charging issues at the last stop there. So I do have this back. I've actually got it in spicy mode, and that's doing pretty good here on the highway. We're going to continue going along here. We've got about 150 miles to go to our next charging stop. So I'll probably catch up with you guys again in a little bit, but we're just going to keep moving along here and try to make as good a time as possible. All right, folks, so I noticed a little something more. This drive mode is no longer just distance between me and the vehicle in front. One thing I've noticed is when I go to do lane changes and I'm in the spicy profile here, it seems to be much more aggressive with the lane changes. It kind of jerks the vehicle over quickly. Doesn't feel very comfortable, but it's done that a couple of times, so I know that it has to do with the profile that I'm in. But so far, we've got about 136 miles left to go, the system's been doing extremely well on the highway here, aside from those spicy lane changes. So we continue to go along here, and I'm really liking the spicy mode here on I-95 with the heavier traffic. It does keep a good distance to keep other cars from jumping in front. Well, of course, as soon as I say that, this person jumps in front. But it was good at slowing down for that. But anyway, folks, it looks like RJ got a little spicy with the recent Rivian Autonomy Platform updates. All right, so Rivian wants to go off. We don't want to go that way. Oops. All right, so we've had another disengagement, again at a highway split. It gets really curvy in here, so I'm interested to see how Rivian's system performs, because I know on Gen 1 and even when Gen 2 was launched shortly after, it was very challenging on the curvy roads. It had a hard time staying within the lines, and it got real scary around curves. So I'm really curious to see how it performs, and this is really a good test. So we're doing 69 miles an hour, and we're going through some pretty curvy roads back here. So I'll probably keep this going, but I'm telling you folks, the performance is much, much better than what it has been in the past on curvy roads, and I haven't had any complaints about it being able to stay within the lines at all either. So Rivian has really been doing some good work on solving those two issues. All right, everyone, so we are about 3 miles away from the Rivian Adventure Network charger in Henderson, North Carolina. And looks like we're going to take exit 214 here. I did take it out of the autonomy mode so that I can manually control it to get off the exit here. It did really, really well coming down I-85 south. I was really happy with it. It did all the driving for me. So we're going to get off the exit here. And we're almost there. We've got 33% state of charge left. So I'll catch up with you guys when we get to the charger. We'll go over our numbers and we'll take a look around the Henderson, North Carolina Rivian Adventure Network charger. All right, we are almost there. Should be right in here. Looks like they have a subway. What I can see so far. Now, one of the things that I've noticed that's different since the last time we took a road trip in the Rivian is when we look in our main display here, we have this little map pin, and we also have two charging estimates. We have one that shows us how long it's going to take to get to our set charge limit. The other one shows us how long it's going to take to get to our pin. And of course, the pin over here, when we look over here, is what we need to charge to get to our next either charging stop or destination. So this is really cool. It's telling us we have to charge for 11 more minutes over here in the main display, or I'm sorry, in the driver's display. And then in the main display, it tells us the percentage that we need to charge to, which is currently 82%. We've really been using the Rivian Autonomy Platform. But let's go in here and look. We've gone 259.7 miles, averaging 61 miles per hour. We've been driving for 4 hours and 17 minutes, and our efficiency is 1.93 miles per kilowatt hour. we've used a total of 135.6 kilowatt hours. So almost the complete usable amount of the battery. So that's not all that great, because we have about 141 kilowatt hours usable in the max pack here, and we were only able to go 259, basically 260 miles. But it is cooler. Ambient's down in the upper 40s now, so not abnormal to see lower efficiency, and we're not in the conserve mode. And this is a tri-motor, so all three motors are staying engaged all the time. Anyway, folks, I'll check in with you again when we get back on the road. At 200 kW, and I'm at 33% state of charge, 32%, so probably not going to hold that for very long. But let's take a look around this charger here. We can see the cabinets over here. Got quite a few chargers here, honestly. Quite a few chargers here. I know it's dark, but we even have this island over here. We'll go over there and take a look at that in a minute. But it looks like we have 5 chargers over here. And we've got a pull-up charger over here, kind of a pull-through situation for if you're towing a trailer. And then we also have some waypoint chargers here that are open to all electric vehicles. So some level 2 for folks who are stopping and charging while they're shopping. And it looks like we've got a pet store, we've got a Subway over there, and Ollie's, and it's like Denny's over here. And I'm not sure what's over there, Starbucks, but I'm sure they're closed. I'd love a coffee right now. But yeah, that's it, folks. The Rivian Adventure Network charger in Henderson, North Carolina. All right, so we're gonna see how we do in a construction zone here. This is really, I'm gonna have to, yep, I had to disengage it there. Those guys were right on the line. But I will tell you that the system has been working very well, doing what I needed to do, and that's mostly the highway chores, you know, changing lanes, driving down the highway. It has had challenges with splits in the highway and things like that, but that's been pretty much it. Everything else it's handled fairly well. We're about 160 miles away from our destination, and I'll be catching up with you guys again in a little bit. All right, looks like we have some construction coming up here, and it's going to be a hard stop. And it's doing pretty good. It's still not. Yeah, I would like for it to slow down a little bit faster, but it did a good job. It didn't do it really hard. And there goes that air compressor again. Oh my gosh. It's a little after midnight. Says we're going to have 13% when we arrive. We are in conserve mode, by the way. And we have about 140 miles to go. See you in a bit. As you can see, we went 453.2 miles, average 61 miles per hour, 7 hours, 23 minutes of driving, and we averaged just under 2 miles per kilowatt hour, 1.98. We used 230.9, might as well say 231 kilowatt hours. So not too bad. And the Rivian Autonomy Platform worked excellent. Rivian Adventure Network was pretty much flawless as far as charging. except for my free charging, which Rivian did resolve for us. Or they didn't resolve it, but they offered to credit it if it didn't resolve itself. So that's where we are. What do you guys think of this trip? Do you think the tri-motor did well? What do you think of the Rivian Autonomy Platform? Let us know down in the comments section. As always, remember to subscribe. And then when you click on subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified anytime we add new content. Hit the like button so others can find us a little bit easier on YouTube. Hug the people you love, and we will see you next time.